You're listening to Rod and Style Radio, the latest podcast brought to you by rodandstyle.com, which is where you can find links for merch, videos from our YouTube channel, along with stories and tech talk from some of the greatest folks in the culture. So grab the wheel, it's about to get wild. You've tuned in to Rod and Style. What's going on in the neighborhood? Where are you at, Adam?
I'm in Springfield, Illinois.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering about that because you had said Central Time, and I was like, man, we've been talking to so many people on the West Coast, and then so many people on the East Coast. I always have to remember what time zone I'm in. So.
Oh yeah, I don't even know time zones very good. So when I do podcasting, I have my own podcast with one of my friends from college, and then I'm always a guest on this other podcast, and they're always trying to coordinate when we're going to do it. And I'm like, what time zones are you guys talking about?
Yeah, we've run into that.
I'm like, 7, your time, my time, whose time?
We've run into that a couple times in scheduling guests. And there's been a few moments where it was like, hey, are you ready to roll? And it's like, I still have 2 hours before we're going to roll. Like, oops.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the podcast that you're on?
Well, I got a podcast with my buddy Sharif he's my buddy from college. We just kind of do our own little podcast. It's called Let's Burn Something. It's just me and him shooting the shit, and kind of like two college friends really just getting, talking to each other on the phone really is what it started like. And then we just go into art, and we discuss art and heavy metal music and cars and just whatever we want.
That's awesome.
Sometimes we interview other artists on there, and just do whatever we want. It's fun.
Yeah, I remember the short time that I spent in college was typically hanging out with my roommate, looking for things to burn, really.
Yep.
Probably why I didn't last in college very long.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of college stories. So it kind of, at first the podcast started with, he interviewed me because he had a podcast. And he's like, I want to interview you because you're an artist. I'm like, okay. And I did an interview, and he interviewed me and did my whole artist story on there. Nice. And then we vibed so good on there that we decided, let's just do our own podcast. So we did our podcast. So just had fun.
That's awesome, man. Were you always inclined to do art, or what kind of started you off in that path? Oh
yeah, I've always been an artist. Since kindergarten, I won my first art show in kindergarten.
Did you stay in the lines?
I got best of show in the whole school and all of my elementary school. So from kindergarten all the way up through 5th grade at that time, I won the best of show. So I won the whole art show.
Oh, wow.
For one drawing I did. So
I bet all those kids were pissed.
What kicked it off. What was that?
I was like, I bet all those kids were pissed.
Oh, probably. I don't care. But you know what I got for it too? I remember to this day. I got a #1 sticker. It was a blue ribbon. It had a #1 on it. It was a sticker. And I stuck it on my little dirt bike I had. And then I got a personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut. I'm telling you, that's when I realized I can make money, or I could win stuff with art. And I'm like, I'm good at this. I'm just going to keep doing this. And I wanted to be Walt Disney forever.
I see the little tributes to Disney in your in some of your art that you've got posted on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
So
for sure.
Getting
I
out of
bastardize it a lot. It's really a style. It's not really his style. He stole Mickey Mouse. Walt Disney himself did not come up with Mickey Mouse. He stole it from his guy. I can't remember his name's Max or something. There was this cartoonist that worked with him, and he's really the one that came up with the Mickey Mouse character and the body and all this stuff. And he ripped him off so much that the guy quit. And then later on, Disney got really big, and then he brought that guy back, and the guy's like, I'll come back and work for you, but I'll only animate. I'll never draw you again. I'll never design for you again.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, I'll only do whatever you designed. I'm not going to come up with stuff for you again because you're just going to steal it from basically.
Right. I mean, it's kind of tough. I mean, even now to go up against Disney, right? So
yeah, and it's silliness too. And like, what I don't understand is how is there even a patent on, or like like you could only copyright an image for like 50 years or something. So Mickey and a lot of these things are well past that. You know what I mean? Like Popeye's been like, you know, it's like public domain after a certain period of time. So I don't understand how they legally like sue people still for some of the stuff.
You know what? That would be a great question for our listeners. Please, if you are a lawyer, write into Rod and Style Radio because Chuck would love to talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, like seriously, like I know Popeye and some of these older cartoons, which are pretty much around the time that Disney came up with, you know, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and a lot of these other characters. I mean, they have to be close to being phased to the point that it's public domain. So I don't understand what keeps it from being public domain. It's interesting.
That is interesting. I'd be interested to know what else is out there. I mean,
you guys, if you ever post anything online, sometimes you'll post it and put a song on something and you get dinged for it. Like, oh, you can't, this is copyrighted. You can't use this song. And then there's other free use music out there that's just like, it's free to use anywhere. Mm-hmm. And it's tons of music out there.
Man, I used to like make these like little skate videos for like, I don't know, like they would be like 30 to 45 seconds long. And the apps I was using would let me add music to it, and then I'd post them to YouTube, and they'd be up on YouTube for like a week or so, and then out of nowhere, I didn't have any videos on YouTube anymore, and like everything was taken down. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
And it's bullshit because like, why do they let you do it like in the first place? It's like Instagram literally will let you tag songs and put the song in there
and even pick the spot where you want the song to be, and it's like, we're gonna tag it anyway.
Yeah, so why are they letting us do any of that with any of those songs if we're not allowed to use them? I went on a rant the other day because I was like, I got flagged for using a song that they provided. So I'm like, I don't get it. So now I don't use anything. I don't use any songs, and I still get flagged. I got flagged for a video of me using my jigsaw, cutting wood, sped up really fast, no music, no other sound. I didn't put anything inappropriate in the tags or anything. It's just me cutting wood, and I got flagged for that. And I had to dispute it, and just to get my page back up. And I've been shadow banned for the last 2 weeks since then.
Oh, man.
It's been a nightmare.
Social media is just a weird thing anymore. Like, everybody was so cool with it, like when it was MySpace. It like you were able to
in the
connect.
90s, it was sweet.
Yeah, when you were able to like just connect with friends and have a page put up for your band or whatever you had going on at that time.
We all fucked the MySpace dude. What was his name?
Tom.
Tom.
Mm-hmm,
Tom.
Tom.
We screwed Tom. I miss Tom. We all miss Tom.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg could kiss my ass. He sucks. Like, he left us to the wolves, and it's bullshit, and now it's all bullshit. And now we're stuck in it.
It really
I'm
is,
stuck
man.
on Instagram. Like, my whole business runs off of there.
Yeah.
So, like, I am fucking stuck on there until I figure out a way to get out.
And, man, I've told people the same thing. Like, if we didn't have a podcast to run and try to promote and try to, like, get, people to sponsor or to be a guest or whatever, like, if we didn't have any of that, I wouldn't even be on social media. I have no reason for it other than to run the business. That's it.
Me too. If I didn't have to promote my art to sell it, I wouldn't be on there because I'm not social at all.
Really?
Not at all.
You sound like a wonderful guy.
Well, I mean, I can be social and like I can do my art shows and stuff, but I hate doing art shows. I hate talking to. I don't know. I don't hate talking to people. I just got a lot of anxiety when I talk to new people. And when you're doing an art show, you literally just get bombarded with sometimes hundreds of new people all at once. And for somebody who has anxiety, meeting new people, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of like overwhelming things to deal with on top of still trying to like promote yourself. Like that's two different things.
Yeah,
right
and like
there.
stay cool and calm and
Yep.
Yeah, that's
it reminds me of Eminem and those rappers talk about it. Like, when you see me out on the streets, don't say nothing when I'm with my kids and all this stuff. I understand why they get that way, because I can only imagine it's a millionfold of people just in your shit. You know, all these people you don't even know, thinking that you owe them something or something. You know, like a little bit of time or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Frustrating.
Absolutely. You know, and when we started doing our podcast last year, you know, it gained like momentum pretty quick, and then we started doing the Rod and Style one this year. So now we do 2 shows every week, and we go out to we started going out to car shows and stuff, and we got kind of overwhelmed with the amount of folks that know us, and then they think that they know us, and we're like, I've never met you in my life, so let me get to know you before we have this conversation.
I get people like that do know me. I mean, from different walks of life, whether they went to high school with me or something, but like, I haven't seen you in 20, 30 years. And like all of a sudden they'll show up at an art show and be like, hey brother, what's up? And talk to me like we just talked yesterday. And I'm like, I don't remember you. Like, I'm not being mean, but it's like 30 years. You were a little kid the last time we like looked at each other.
I think we brought that up on a show one time where when we were talking to the Hot Rod Kid.
Yeah.
We were talking about how you meet so many people on social media that you only know them by that little thumbnail they use for their profile picture.
That horrible little pixelated picture. And then when you meet them in person, so Lane will be like, oh, hey, have you met my wife, Sam? And then that's when they'll introduce themselves to me. And I'm like, that, or they'll be like, oh, I already introduced them. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I'll take the blame for not knowing who they are. I'm like, let's just play it off. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, the guy that introduced us, Chuck or Charles, whatever he goes by, I don't even know his real name because I call him Laser. And
wow.
And this is why, because he came to me a long time ago before I even knew. He just followed me for my art, and we were talking to each other, and I followed him because he had Cheater Slicks page. And me and him just followed each other, and then he reached out to me one day, and he commissioned a piece of artwork for me. And we were just shooting the shit on DMs back and forth, and I don't know what, we were just messing with each other, and all of a sudden I just gave him a nickname. His name was Laser, and my name was Dragonhawk. And then from that day on, like, I still call him Laser. In my phone, he's Laser. It just says Laser. Just like, I forget his real name sometimes because I just call him Laser, and that's who he is to me.
So, I met Chuck through a couple phone calls when he wanted us to start working with him on some of these things. And then when I found him on Facebook, I had already been friends with him, and I didn't even know it. And because on Facebook he goes by Charles, and I'm like, I don't know any Charleses. But,
he's a slickery fucker. He gives me shit. He's like, you're not following one of my pages. I'm like, dude, you got like 36 pages, and they all go by various names. And I'm like, it's like you're a hot rod guy here, and over here you're selling Santa Claus suits. I don't know how to follow you. You're all over the place, man.
I love it. Yes. I mean, we got to keep everybody on their toes, right?
Yeah, I'm just giving him shit. He's always in the hot rods. Like, everything he's doing is like Cheater Slicks and Rod and Style, and all the stuff he does is always car related and badass. I think that's what I got him hooked on my art, because I use a lot of hot rod imagery and stuff like that with my art.
I love the was it like the little woodpecker inspired the Mr. Horsepower inspired one with holding the chainsaw and saw his family. I love that image, man. That is
I got
cool.
one with him holding the jigsaw, and the jigsaw is, the cord is plugged into the plug, and the plug is on a bomb. Those bombs from Mario that like
yes.
walk
Yes.
It's plugged into one of those, and he's running behind him really fast.
Very cool.
I just like to do stuff that makes people laugh and make art that just like the imagery I always use is stuff inspired from 80s, 90s pop culture. I like 80s, mainly 80s skateboard art is what I'm really inspired by. But also, I mean, even 80s BMX style and just 80s style in general, just 80s and 90s just had a good style as far as colors. And when I was growing up in the 80s, that's what I missed. Now it's like, you can't get a good shirt that has these like bright fluorescent colors like we used to get in the 80s. Probably because everything had lead and stuff in it in the 80s.
Hell yeah.
But it made everything so vibrant. Like lead must have been awesome because I remember the shirts, even the screen print shirts, they were just so much brighter and just thicker. The screen stuff was like almost like puff paint on your shirt. It was like
I
really
was just
thick.
going to say that too. I was like, I know I had some shirts that had puff paint on them.
And I still have a shirt from that time, and it still looks good. It's been washed a million times. Like the image still holds up. And nowadays, this image after the third, fourth wash, it's gone.
A lot of times, yeah, for sure. Or, yeah, I don't know what's up with shirts now either. Like, man, I wash a shirt and it's like the next time I try to wear it, it's like a tank top, midriff shirt. Yeah, it's a little crop top shirt. Like, shit just shrinks on, like, you know, in a heartbeat. I think the shirt I'm wearing right now is shrinking at the moment.
I got some shirts that I'm selling with Rod and Style, and he has like my image, my designs, and my characters on them. And I love his shirts because they're nice and soft and they're pre-shrunk. That's like, he sold me, he's like, they're pre-shrunk. I'm like, I'm sold. I hate when you get a shirt and you're like, oh, it fits perfect, and then you're afraid to wash it because you know it's not going to ever fit you again.
No, that is one good thing about the shirts that we've gotten from Rod and Style. Rod and Style, and then all of the ones that he sells on the site. He definitely goes for the little bit more expensive shirt.
Yep.
But it's way better quality than, you know, a lot of the times, like, you go to concerts and, like, the bands are just, like, selling shit out of the back of their van and shit. Like, they go for the cheapest shirt they possibly can to save money. But, you know.
His are quality because I still have the ones that we made, the first one we made, and that was a few years back, and I wear the crap out of it, working, cutting wood, I paint in it, I do everything in it, and it still just holds up. It looks good. It has no holes in it. And it's just like, I feel like I'm a commercial, but I was really impressed because at first I wanted the cheapest shirt so we can make the most money. Because that's, and from the art design part of it, it's all about the low overhead so you can make the most off of the image. But he was like, yeah, but this shirt is going to be much better quality and people are going to, you know, be more apt to pay a little more for a better quality shirt. And I'm like, you're right. So we went for it. And I'm glad we did because it turned out right. So I got some really soft shirts in there, and they fit me still. Like we were talking, they were pre-shrunk, so they still fit the way they did when I got them.
No, I mean, so that's a big deal, man. That's definitely a big deal. So what, you know, you're taking art as a business now. Like you're doing that solely as your income. When did that come about? Were you able to just jump into it, or did you have some part-time jobs, you know, in your late teens, early 20s, having to get into it?
Well, I mean, I've always done art, and I was telling somebody the other day, and I've been making money off art since probably junior high. Like actually making money. Like the first thing I was drawing on people's trapper keepers for like $1, $2, $3. And then that turned into, I mean, one guy paid me to do a mural in it when I was a freshman in his basement. His parents gave us the permission. They're like, yeah, paint whatever you want down here. He takes me down his basement and he's like, I got $100. And he goes, what can you do? And I was like, what do you want me to do? He goes, anything you want. So I was like, so basically he's giving me $100 and letting me like paint on this white wall. So I went crazy and did like all this graffiti and like, but not like letters, but like characters and all these cartoon characters come popping in and out of the wall. Like, wow. Almost like an acid trip kind of looking thing. And his parents actually dug it so much that when they went to sell the house, they like invited me over so we could take pictures of it and stuff because they were like, oh, we have to paint over it. And they felt really bad. I'm like, guys, it's not that big a deal. I had fun doing it. It was like, it's over. It's all good.
That's so awesome.
But after that, I mean, when I was then it went to in high school, people started paying me under the table for finishing their art projects because it started with the head cheerleader who had an art project that was due. She didn't do it. If she didn't turn it in, the art teacher was on her and she was going to give her the F. If she got the F, she didn't get to do the next basketball game, which was that weekend. And she was like, I have to be at this basketball game. I can't miss it, but I'm nowhere near being done. And she's like, if I give you $20, could you finish it for me? And she gave it to me. It was like all sketched out and everything. So all I had to do was like fill the color in and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I got you. And I did it. And she gave me $20. But then there was the mistake I made. I said, yes, I would do it. And I did a good job. And then her friends found out that I did it. And then they all came to me. And then, I mean, one week I had like 3 or 4 paintings to do because these kids needed their paintings. But I'm like, this is stressful. I don't need this. I don't really need the money. I just was being nice. And now I'm like in it.
Did the teacher ever catch on?
Nah. Because I would look at what they painted. They would show me their paintings. I would like, show me what you got. And they would show me what they already done. So I kind of knew how they could paint. And I was a good enough painter at that time that I could kind of dumb it down a little bit if I had to, but make it look good enough. They just needed it done. They didn't need an A. They just needed to turn it in so they didn't get a 0, basically. So I didn't have to like be like a showman. I just had to make it done, you know. But every time I made it pretty good. They were happy. I was happy. The teacher was happy. None the wiser. Everybody's happy.
That's awesome. It's like just miss every third question and you'll be fine.
Right.
And this didn't stop. This went into college. I did paintings for people in college. They painted me. I mean, because they're just taking one art class,
just for the credit.
An objective. In college, they have to take it, but they suck at art. And they're like, my GPA can't go down. I'm trying to be the valedictorian of my class, and I can't have a F, but I suck at painting. So what do? They find somebody like me that will help them.
Kids, I hope you are listening to
Passing everybody.
This is very vital information. If you can't draw, find the guy who can and turn that in.
Give him $20.
And you know what?
$20.
They helped me out because they not only gave me money, sometimes they gave me, we traded services. One time I didn't do the painting for the person. I helped them pretty much figure out how to design it. And I told them how I would go about doing it. They didn't want me to do it for them, but they needed help. So I helped them figure out the how to do it. And I told them what materials to use. And I kind of showed them on another piece how to do the technique. And then they did that. And then they, in turn, were an English major. And I sucked at writing papers at that time. And they looked over a couple of my papers and helped me edit my papers. And they didn't write the paper for me. They just helped me, you know. So we kind of traded services. So you don't have to cheat to do it either. You know, you could just do it on the up and just help each other.
Absolutely.
And still get the same thing accomplished. But I'm down for whatever. I was down to clown in college. I needed money. I needed gas. It's like
right. I'm gonna get you into a little bit of trouble here. Did art ever score you a date?
Oh yeah. I mean, my wife. I mean,
there you go. That's a good answer.
My wife loves that I'm an artist. That's
so awesome. My wife loves that we have cool cars and shit. So
yeah. See, that's why there's a part of the reason why they're attracted to us. And I'm attracted to her because she's cool with my art. Because some girls that I dated weren't cool with it. They tried to make me not be an artist. Ugh. They were trying to be like, I mean, they do. Some people are selfish. They're like, why don't you get a normal job so you can make more money? Because obviously there are a lot of jobs that you can make way more money at, but they're not as fulfilling to me because I am a creative person. I have to create things. So, I mean, it doesn't even have to be art. I can build stuff and I'd be happy. Like, I can just make furniture. I'd be happy. I could build guitars or something. I'd be happy. You know, as long as I'm making something out of nothing, I'm happy. I'm like a builder. I always tell my kids, whatever's in me is just like, I have to be creating things.
Yeah.
And have any of your kids had any interest in drawing or doing anything like that?
Oh yeah, both my daughters have my painting, and they can. My oldest daughter can paint exactly as good as I can already.
Wow.
I mean, and she has I've never taught her anything. She just by watching me and just being around. I mean, our whole house is always an art gallery, you know. So there's always art everywhere. So somehow just soaked in.
Hey, that's awesome, man. That's our daughter's like starting to get into everything that we're into, and that's just a cool feeling, and in general.
Yeah, it's just cool that they accept you for, even if I always tell them they always think I want to push them in art. I always tell them I don't care if you ever do art, ever, but I just want you to know it's an option. You guys are good enough, and I want to show you some things here and there, to where you guys can make money on the side and still do whatever other dream you have. You know what I mean? This could just help you get to your dream. You know, if you want to be the next Britney Spears, you still got to make money while you're doing recordings, while you're rehearsing, while you're trying to become somebody.
And you don't have to pay somebody else. And you don't have to pay somebody else for your album cover art.
Yeah, and you can do your own art. You can do everything.
Absolutely. Hey, you mentioned earlier that you were into your art's inspired a lot by like the 80s and the 90s, and you mentioned skateboarding. Did you skate as a kid?
Oh yeah, I still skate. I've skated since I was 5, and I'm 44 now. So I don't skate as much as I used to, but I mean, I still skate pool. We got a pool, a cement skate park that has a pool in it and stuff, and I like to shred and just kind of like more roll around than do a lot of tricks. That I used to be really good at tricks and doing handrails and stuff like that when I was a kid, but now it's like I just don't want to get hurt.
Exactly. No, we skate pretty often, at least a couple of times a week.
That's literally the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago. Be like, hey, we go just to for the physical aspect. We don't go to show off because we're afraid to get hurt.
Yeah, I still got to go to work in the morning.
You know what I've found? I go early and I go by myself, and there's nobody there to show off for, because I'm competitive when skateboarding. I've just skated all my life, so another skater shows up, all of a sudden I'm doing kick flips and I'm trying to grind and do crazy shit, and I'm like, I don't need to do this for anybody. I don't know why I'm trying to show off.
Man, my ankles are torn to shit right now because I thought flip tricks were back in my wheelhouse. They are not.
They are not.
Yep.
I just look over and he's on the floor and he's like, just give me like 10 minutes. I'm like, okay.
Give me a few. I'll be up.
I got like some that I got tricks in my bag that I just can do. Like I can do ollie impossibles, I can do pressure flips, and I can do like 360 flips and stuff. Like I just, because I've done them so many times, I can still pretty much do them, but they're a lot slower and lower. Like I don't pop. I used to be able to pop over a trash can pretty much. Now I can't. I don't got those height because I got too much weight on my belly.
Yeah, I think I'm right there, man. Like I used to be able to pop up onto like just how you always used to stack your skateboards and see who can stack the most up. Yeah, I used to be able to just get crazy amounts of air, and now it's like I can't even get high enough up to get a full like kick flip out of me. I can do a heel flip, but that that takes the toll on my ankles as well. So yeah, I still skate like I always did. I just don't skate as hard anymore.
I learned from Steve Caballero. I follow Steve. I made a piece of artwork for Steve that hangs in his house.
That's awesome.
He's cool. I've talked to him a couple times just through DMs on Instagram and stuff. He's a really nice guy. But anyway, I follow his Instagram, and he went through a whole rigorous thing where he showed his I don't know if he was rehabbing his knee at the time or what, but he was doing all these like exercises and stretches to become more flexible. And he's like, I want to be better at not only my skating, but as I'm getting older, I'm not as flexible and I'm getting like more tight. So he had a flexibility coach, and it was just super interesting, like all those little posts about it. And it was like just showing him the like stretching and all the time he puts in stretching before he even skates, before he even gets on a skateboard. He's like half an hour to stretch.
Yeah.
And then he gets on a skateboard though, and then you see him do stuff that he's been doing since he's a kid. And he's 50 something years old.
Stuff that he invented.
Yeah. I mean, he's in his 50s, you know what I mean? That's insane. Like I can't even imagine, like he's popping out of the bowl and grinding all the way around the edges of the, I mean, I think he just won the pool jam for his age group.
That is so wild.
Fans pool jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve's awesome. He's the man. He's racing vintage motorcycles now. I totally watch everything that dude does. He's so interesting.
Yeah, he's into vintage motorcycles. He's into old hot rods. He's in a car club. As far as
he's racing in the gentleman's race where it's like vintage, like Indians and Harleys that were from like the 1912 or something.
Yeah, so wild
stuff.
Sam has talked to him because she talked to him and the team of folks that run his like his media stuff, and got a signature signed skateboard from him for me for one of our anniversaries.
No, your birthday.
Or for my birthday. That's what it was, my birthday.
That's cool.
Yeah, we have that hung up on the wall in here. The dude is just amazing. He absolutely is. At some point, we might have him on the show. That it's been in the talks, and we've talked about trying to line it up. And yeah, he's super busy, like you would imagine he is. But he would definitely be one for being on our podcast. He's just into like all of the culture, whether it be skating, cars, bikes, all of it. Like absolutely cool dude, for sure.
He's into it for sure. Yeah.
What have you got commissioned right now? What are you working on at the moment?
Oh Jesus, I got like I'm down to 30 commissions. I was up to, I think I had 85 commissions at one time. And I just was losing my mind. And I finally told my wife, I'm like, I got to start saying no to everyone and shut all of it down until I get down to like 25 or 30. So now I'm just now to 30, and it's been like months and months of just painting and painting and painting. But I'm never doing that to myself again. I'm never stacking that many commissions.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be nuts because you don't want to lose your quality. Like, you don't want to be rushing a job and trying to like do that, and people don't always as customers, and I'm sure everybody has had their moments at some point in their life where they're a customer that just doesn't understand, but people don't understand when it's taking a long time to get things done. And I can imagine
it takes a year to get a new painting from me sometimes, because for one, sometimes they're super difficult. Like what's being asked of me to make is crazy levels. Like I'm asked to add LED lights and multi-layers of 3D-ness when I'm cutting it out of wood, and all this stuff takes time, and I have to figure out how to design it. And because I design it on the computer first, and then I take that and make templates and put it to wood and cut it all out, and then I prime everything and sand it until it's pretty much white and looks like glass. And then I hand paint all the images on it. And
that is so wild, man.
Stick it all together and usually nail it together from the back so you can't see nail marks or anything. And it just looks like a 3D. It looks like it's all cut out, so it just looks 3D. I just got sick of painting on boring rectangles and boring canvas. I hate canvases. I hate painting. I'll still paint on one, but I don't like painting on canvas. It's rough.
It'll cost you extra.
I like glass or painting on anything that's smooth, because I don't know, just the way I paint and how I paint with like smaller brushes and stuff. I don't know. I paint more like a pinstriping style when I do my lines and stuff. So I like to run really long lines, and you can't do that on rough canvas.
Right.
But you can do it if you got a really smooth surface of wood or glass. You can just really run a really long line of one, the color. I don't know, it just goes faster. You feel like you're doing something instead of just going brush, like little bitty inch by inch. You just feel like it's going to take forever. I'm never going to get done. And freak out.
Right. You start having that anxiety. It's like, man, I have been in the same spot for the last 20 minutes. This sucks. Yeah.
But as far as the question you asked me, I have lots of commissions going on, but right now the main commission I'm working on, I'm doing this like I don't know, this multi-level like priest guy, and he's going to have glow in the dark resin in parts of, like, I cut out these little shapes out of his armor. He's got this armor plate. It's all hard to explain, but he's got armor plating, and he's going to have all this resin. And I'm going to make it glow in the dark. So this thing's just going to really glow. His eyes are going to glow. He's kind of got an old, what are those death masks from the plague doctor mask.
Wow.
So he's kind of like a priest looking guy, but he's got a plague doctor mask. And I'm doing it for this guy who's sells NFTs. And he's doing a whole series of these like priests. And he gave me like the okay to, he kind of gave me sketches to work for him. And he's like, here, I need you to design these 5 priests. And we together designed them the way he wanted. And then he's like, I need you to make woodcuts of each one. And then they're going to sell the NFT on, the site. And then once the person buys the NFT, they're also going to get a painting, that physical painting.
Oh,
so they're not just buying an NFT, they actually get a physical, so they get the NFT and a painting.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's going to be dope. But in order to do it, I'm busting my ass. I have to make 7 of these things, and I've only got one, like 50% done. And I got like another month to finish them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so like that's just one project of the 30. It's like, and my wife was like, "Why are you stressed out all the time?" I was like, "Do you really want me to talk about it?" She's like, "Probably not."
Like, these are all the ones that are due within in a month, and I've only done this one.
Exactly. I showed her one the other day. I was like, I was working on it. She goes, "When's that done?" I go, "I told him it'd be done tomorrow." And she looked at me. She goes, "Are you crazy?" She's like, "There's no way you're going to be done tomorrow." And then she woke up the next day and it was done because I stayed up all night and painted.
You're like, when are you supposed to send this one out? Oh, last week?
Yep. A year ago. I get yelled at all the time. I just got yelled at from somebody. They contact me and they're like, "It's been almost a year. I haven't heard from you." And I'm like, I'm not bugging you either. Like, you can talk to me anytime you want. You know what I mean? You can DM me anytime you want. Like, I'm sorry you waited a year to DM me, but you can DM me a month from now or 2 days from now. You can DM me right now. Like, I'm not stopping you. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I hate when they act like. And another thing is, like, when they come to me to do this stuff, they don't ask about how long it's going to take. They don't ask any questions. They're like, "Can you do it?" "Yes, I can do it." "How much is it?" "This is how much it is." "Okay."
They think the minute
put down a deposit, and they don't ask how long it's going to take. And then a couple months go by, and they get pissed off. And then I'm like, "Did you ask me any other questions other than how much it was going to be?" Maybe you should have asked more questions because you have expectations that shouldn't be there because you didn't know. I had 30 clients ahead of you. So I had 30 people that got in line before you, and it's not fair that you get to jump in front of them. You know what I mean? It's not fair.
Oh yeah, that's something I've learned. That's something I've learned with like all my So I do pinup contests and pinup pageants, and I go all over the place. I've learned that through all of the custom outfits I get. Like, I try and be like way ahead of time, but half of the time, like the girls that I go through, I always ask them, I'm like, "Hey, I need this. This is what I'm thinking. Can it be done in time?" Like, that's the first thing I ask. I'm like, "Do you have time right now? If you don't, I can go ask somebody else, or I can make something else." And half of the time they can, but like, oh no, that's like the major thing I've learned is like, no, I need to know what your timeline is because I need to know if we can fit something out or, if I can delay it. But oh yeah, no, that's stupid.
That's where I'm at right now. Like, if you give me a deadline, I've never missed a deadline. You just got to give me a deadline. Do you need it tomorrow? It might not look as good as you wanted it to look if you want to rush me that much.
Right.
But if you give me a relatively decent deadline, I'll get it to you. You know, it's like, I'm not trying to screw anybody over. I just have so much more going on than you even realize. Plus, I have 4 kids and a wife and a house and like all this shit to take care of. You know, I got a shop to take care of. It's just ridiculous.
Yep. No, I've learned through cars, just being into having custom cars and knowing enough friends that have shops and things of, like that, businesses like that, people who typically like ask for a job or ask for like something to be done, the first thing they always ask is how much is it going to be? And that pretty much gives you the hint that they don't have enough money.
Or they don't have enough time. They're in a rush.
Yeah, it's like, well, how much? And it's like, well, that shouldn't be your first question. It should be in the conversation, but it shouldn't be your first question because, you should, when you're inquiring about things, you should ask, things like, how long is it going to take and what's involved and what materials do you need that, I may not have thought about because a lot of people, they don't think of it, say painting a car.
They don't think of the breakdown of it all.
They don't think about, how much sandpaper is this going to cost?
My buddy wraps cars and he gets that shit all the time. They're like, you're just sticking a sticker on. He goes, you have no fucking idea what goes into wrapping a car. It's way beyond just sticking a sticker on. You have to make it seamless and you tuck everything in. And it's just like super, like he does a really good job. You know what I mean? There's no bubbles. There's no bullshit. And if you want a job done like really good, it's like $5,000, $10,000. It depends on what kind of vinyl you use, but it gets crazy. It's like, especially when you're wrapping Lamborghinis and stuff. Those are like,
oh my God.
A Lamborghini's like a car and a half. Have you seen how wide a Lamborghini is? There's like driving a bus down the road that's been squashed. It's like.
And I don't think there's any flat surface on a Lamborghini.
Nope.
Like everywhere you look is curved.
Pointed.
Oh, he hates wrapping the little Porsches. He goes, they have these weird body. When he's trying to wrap the vinyl, he's like, it just wants to buckle and bubble, and he hates these little Porsches.
And a lot of people think that wrapping the car is a time saver and a money saver in place of painting. Yeah, it costs the same. And then you still have to do body work to that car before you can wrap it because you can't wrap a car that's got dents and crap in it. They think, oh, well, if I don't paint the car, I don't have to do the body work to it either. It's like, no. Like, use your brain.
If you want to save money and you want to paint you want your car painted or wrapped, the only way to save money is to do it yourself. So buy the vinyl and wrap it yourself or buy the paint, watch a tutorial, and give it a shot.
There you go.
Worst thing you're going to do is fuck it up and you have to do it again. Like, that's how we all learned how to do it. That's how the guy that learned that you're going to pay to paint your car, he painted his own car at one time, I guarantee you.
Yep.
And it was fish-eyed, and it was fucked up, and he learned from it, and he painted again, and he painted again, and before you know it, he could paint cars. That's how I learned by doing it, and that's how a lot of people learn, just by doing stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
So
and
give it a
YouTube,
shot. Go paint your own car. What you got to lose?
Mentioning YouTube, YouTube's been a godsend for this whole generation. We learned plumbing by YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of things that, you're right. You grab a hold of it and do it yourself.
It's good for our generation. I think we benefit from YouTube more than my children do because my children watch people eating food. They don't watch how to do stuff. They watch people eating food, mukbang or whatever.
Yeah,
they watch,
mukbang. Those are the.
They watch like fucking North Korean pop, and they watch weird stuff.
Yeah.
They watch people, doing jackass stunts and dances. But then us older people are like learning everything we've ever wanted to learn.
We're like, ooh, I know how to change.
I know so much about screen printing right now. It's crazy. And you know how much screen printing I've done? Little to none. But I'm about to do a lot.
There you go. I mean, but that's funny though, because you're absolutely right about this generation.
That's how Penny is.
They watch weird shit.
She watches kids reviewing toys, and I never knew that was a thing or that it should be a thing. But yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, I watch him, and I look at this little kid, 1 million subscribers. Just people watching him, and he's like 5 years old. I'm like, well, where are you at? Like, he's 5, you're 6. Let's go. Like, I didn't know. No,
I was
cool.
like, hey, we got a ring light and we got GoPro cams. We can make this happen.
Exactly. You know what? It's like, it makes you sad though. It's like, how come we can't figure out the algorithm or whatever and get 1 million followers? Like I've been doing Instagram since Instagram started. Literally, I've been doing Facebook since Facebook started. Anything that I could post my art on for free and show the world, I've been doing it. I started on eBay actually, because a long time ago when I was in college and the internet was there. I'm like, if you post stuff on eBay, the world sees it when they're searching for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look at how many people are seeing this item. They're seeing. I'm like, 1,000 people saw this picture to see if they wanted to buy it. I'm like, what if I just started making kind of ignorant art, kind of like real cheap, fast, quick, just fun, and put it on there for $1 and let it ride and see what happens. And that's how I started. I started selling on eBay when I was in college, and I just made like beer money, just threw stuff on there and I shipped it to them. That's when I started really doing it kind of like now. And that's when I got my first real commission, I think, was this person contacted me on eBay and wanted me to do a Jackson Pollock type painting. And I never did a Jackson Pollock, but I'm like, I can splatter paint, no problem. And they gave me a picture, and there was this red, black, and white. It looked like Eddie Van Halen's guitar almost. I'm like, oh, I got this. and I took canvas, took me like 2 hours, and I'm like, there you go. And sent a picture, and he loved it. I was like, shipped it to him. I was like, this is easy. I can do this.
That is so wild.
That was like what I was just telling you, because I was looking at videos the other day, and it was like how people would get canvas paintings and just put random colors of paint and then spin it on a drill. And he's like, is that a thing? I was like, yeah, they sell these for like $100. And they'll they'll do lives about this stuff. I'm like, can you imagine just picking random shit and being like, all right. I'm like, but yet when it comes to like custom, art project or custom art and stuff like that, people are like, I don't want to pay that. I'm like, but you'll pay some guy to spin it on a drill? That makes no sense.
Yeah. You'll pay $100 for some bullshit craft thing that they learned on YouTube that everybody's doing, and it looks like shit. And there's no substance. There's no connection to it. There's just colors spun around. Yeah, I hate that stuff. I hate resin art too. Like, I use resin in my art, but I hate when they use, like, they make a table and it's got 50 gallons of resin in it. I'm like, that's cool and all. You might like that table for a year or two, but what's going to happen to that table when nobody wants it? And now uses a huge chunk of resin that's like 1.5 feet thick and 2 feet wide. Like, it's not going to biodegrade. And like, people just keep making this shit on YouTube, and I'm like, just for the sake of making it. And I'm like, it's just sickening. I just don't understand it. And it all looks like shit. Like, it's like, here's an old piece of tree. We hollowed it out, poured resin down the middle of it. Now it's a table. Oh, you guys are creative.
We're one with nature. Now you get this in your house. Like, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, pandemic, for keeping us all indoors and learning stupid craft
now
projects.
That you say that, I've seen like a lot of people like, oh, I know how to work with resin. It's like, but should you? Like, I don't know if that's a smart decision for you.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't belong in every project. No. It doesn't belong on everything.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
When she started telling me about this guy that was putting things, just adding color to a palette and then using his drill to turn, I was like, as a kid, we called that a spirograph, I think.
Look at liquid art, and what they're doing is taking acrylic pouring or whatever. So what they do now is they've watered down the acrylic paint a lot, and they put it in like cups and hang it over the top of a canvas, and they swing the cups, and the cups have little holes at the bottom, and it just spills out all over the canvases. And it's those little spiral graph like shapes. And then after a while, they pull the canvas out from underneath, and they're like, "It's done, voila!" And I'm like, "You're dumb as fuck. Like that is no thought put into that at all, and that is an art. It's bullshit."
I like looking at the fail ones where where they just put too much paint and it just falls over. I'm like, "That's what you get, dumb shit. That's what you get."
Yep.
We're so catty. We're so catty.
Well, I just think I could do all that, but can they do what I do?
No.
And I think some of it would be no. So I can do what you can do, but can you draw? Can you design? Can you paint? Can you use a jigsaw? Can you use all these different tools and stuff? All this stuff I had to learn how to use, learn how to do what I do. It's just disrespectful when people step into the art. If you're just crafty and you want to have fun, fine, that's cool. But don't come in and act like I'm going to sell, I'm going to be an artist. I'm an artist, I want to sell all this stuff. Cool, but just watch what you're doing. You're stepping on a lot of toes when you first come in and act like you're hot shit.
Yeah.
No.
I think that's definitely something that is universal. It's like if you try anything or go into anything, like, going into cars, going into art, going into the pinup world, fashion, anything, you have to have a respect for everybody else too, because they have a passion for it. So if you just come in bullshitting, I mean, you can spot a bullshitter a mile away, and it's just at that point it's disrespectful.
They're typically wearing a cherry dress.
Shut up. It's such an ass. But no, I completely agree with you on that. It's if you're gonna do something and you have a passion for it, like that means 100 times more than you just trying to make a quick buck.
And for me, I've known about the business side of it, not knowing that I know about the business side of it for my whole life, because I lived next door to a sign painter, and his wife used to babysit me, and he used to paint signs, he used to paint trucks. In my hometown, Litchfield, Illinois, he painted, any sign that's on a building that's still up was hand painted by him. He hand painted everything. So I learned by watching him. If I was really good, he'd let me sit out there and just watch him paint trucks. He used to paint these grain trucks. He'd paint the name of the town, and he'd paint the numbers on the sides of the trucks. I just sat there and watch him do that, But I knew about the business side of it before I was even in school, because I watched him deal with clients. I watched him deal with stuff. And then I had, my dad had friends that were tattoo artists. And I learned about how to get clients and how to stack clients, and that people have to wait, in line. They pay a deposit, then they wait. And, I learned that whole process by watching them guys do it. And then I watched my uncle, who paints cars and has an auto body shop. I saw how he runs his business and, how he dealt with his clients and stuff. And then my grandma had her own business, and she made and sold quilts. And I used to help her make quilts. That's one thing I always say. They're like, "What's something that most people would never know about you?" I'm like, "That I know how to make quilts." I'm like, "I know how to make quilts." I used to help her make quilts.
Really?
So,
like hand sewing or with a machine?
Machine. She would set it all up and pin it all and get the batting, and I'd help her put the batting in between. But she got to a point that her knees, she couldn't walk. You had to walk sideways with the sewing machine.
Uh-huh.
It's a machine it's like a sewing machine that's on rails, like a skateboard almost. So you run it and you make it move. It's totally free. So wherever you run the sewing machine, you can make it do circles and sign your name, and it sews. So but you got a pattern that's on this little runner, and you got a little stick that sticks out of the side of the sewing machine. And you just look down and you run that little stick over the pattern, and you do the little twirls and the butterflies or whatever shape you're doing, and you do it from one end to the other. And then you cut your thread, and then you move back like a typewriter. You move back to the other end, and you wind it back, and then you do the next row. And then you cut your thread, and you wind it back, and you do the next row. And you just keep doing that over and over again. It's monotonous. But when you're done, it's really pretty. It looks good. And then she would finish by doing the edges, and she would hand sew all the edges.
That is so cool. My mom is the seamstress of the house, and Sam got a sewing machine for Christmas this past year. So my mom's going to be spending a lot of time teaching Sam how to sew her own clothes.
Well, yeah, no shit. Your mom was known for making dresses, wedding dresses, proms. I was like, wow, I need that trait. I can save a huge bill and just buy a bunch of fabric and spend just as much money. But now I get to learn how to do it.
Yeah, my grandma made my first wife. She made her wedding dress. Saved us $10,000 because the dress she wanted was $10,000. I'm like,
no,
yeah, no, like, But she's like, yeah, I just like the look of this dress. I'm like, well, let's talk to my grandma, and we went to her, showed her the picture. She's like, I can make that. We went to Joann's Fabrics. And she picked out all the fabric and all the stuff she thought she needed, and I paid for it. And then she took a couple months, and before you know it, she was fitting her in the dress and made it. And it looked just like the damn one in the thing that was $10,000, like beaded, hand beaded, and everything.
Wow!
Like my grandma went all out, and it's dope.
That is too cool, man. I
learned the business side of art. Even though I wasn't, they weren't necessarily doing what I like painting like I do, not all of them anyway. But I learned by watching all these entrepreneurs around me running their own businesses from when I was born. Like I was destined to be my own boss. I can't work for other people. I don't like it. I can do it, but I just don't like it.
No, absolutely. It's funny. Yeah, people don't realize how many folks in your life, you can learn so much, absolutely so much, just by watching how other people just interact with each other. I mean, I listen to a couple podcasts that, are business related, and, the folks that come onto these shows, they're talking about how they got their start and things. And it's like, you just find what people are into or what people need and try to fill that need. And some of these people, they've come up in just the worst of situations. And, understanding how the people around them were interacting was how they were able to create businesses. And it's just, you're right there, man. Like, knowing how all of these different business owners in your life were conducting themselves, that's how you learned things that you didn't even know you were learning. I think that's a great lesson to teach people.
Yep. Like you said, I mean, you can learn stuff from anybody. I mean, it doesn't even have to be, you can learn what not to do from people just watching,
There's a couple hot rod shops in San Antonio.
What?
I said there's a couple hot rod shops that used to be in San Antonio that a lot of people could learn what not to do.
Exactly. But I mean, that's a more important lesson than what to do sometimes, because you watch this guy fuck up. Hey, I don't have to fuck up to learn that lesson. I can just learn it from him.
Yep.
I just watched him eat $10,000 on a job or something because he didn't do the right thing. I don't want to be that guy. So I need to learn right now what not to do. I've had those situations happen, and it's kind of up to you in those moments to go, hey, I need to bookmark this in my mind because I don't want this shit to go this way for me.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Hey, Adam, let the folks know where they can find your art and where they can possibly commission you in the future. Not right this second, folks. Not right this second.
There is a waiting list, folks, so please don't assume it's right now.
It's a year wait right now for new paintings, but if they're cool with that and they're fine with the wait, I'll take a commission. They just have to be understanding of that. But Burn353, so BURN 353 on Instagram is the main thing. That's where I run my whole business out of. Just DM me if you want to talk to me about art or whatever. I'll reply and we'll go from there. But you can also see all my artwork on there. You can see my artwork on burn353.com, burn353 on Facebook, burn353 everywhere pretty much.
I was gonna say you even posted up some of your videos from TikTok as well.
Oh yeah, TikTok too. I'm starting TikTok as well. That's more fun. I'm just having fun on there, but I'm posting art and me doing painting and cutting wood, and I like putting the little silly sayings and sounds on them. It makes me laugh so hard.
Hey, like we talked earlier, man, like having every platform out there that you can, is a huge plus. And the kids right now are just going crazy with this TikTok stuff. So Sam's got like a crazy amount of followers on hers.
21,000.
Yeah. So
nice.
she's doing pretty good.
Absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
Like bullshit. I think I have like 12 videos or something like that, and it was just me like getting ready, and that became like so huge. And I was like, wow. They're like, you need to do more tutorials. I'm like, no, it's a pain in the ass. There's a reason why those videos are only 60 seconds long, but it took me 3 hours to get to that end result.
Yeah, so.
Exactly. It's a lot of work. You have to give it to some of these kids and these makeup artists and all these people that are doing dances on their stuff. Some of that shit, even those silly dances, take hours of choreography, hours of time they're not showing you.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
making it look like this 15-second video was easy for them to make, and I bet you it wasn't.
No, it's not. It was not. It takes me at least 3 hours to edit a video, and I'm like, and
a couple $100 worth of equipment sometimes. Like I got lighting and shit that I never thought I would have because I'm not a photographer. But guess what? If you want to post pictures of your paintings, you have to be a photographer.
Yep.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I signed up for being a photographer because I hate photography. So now I have to, all these lights and cameras and bullshit. And I'm like, tutorials.
Yeah, no, it's wild. I mean, just getting everything out there into the digital world is just like, it is a pain in the ass sometimes. But Adam, we will let you get back to your normal daily life and let our listeners get back to work. We absolutely appreciate you being on the show. And folks, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcast, please go and leave us a rating and a review because that helps us out a ton. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you can now leave ratings as well. So please do that, and always write in and let Chuck know if we're doing a decent job or not. Because he loves to tell me that we are. And folks, remember,
we'll call him Laser for me. Just one time.
We're literally going to call him this after this.
Yeah, somebody out there is going to write in.
Burn says, "What's up, Laser?"
I love it.
Oh no, Dragonhawk. Say Dragonhawk.
Dragonhawk says hello, Laser. I love this. Absolutely. Well, you know what happens now? Stay wild.